All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, feast your eyes and tune your ears. It's that time again. We are live with another episode of The Authority Project. It's the video podcast streamed on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Periscope, where we talk to digital marketers, business coaches, and creators of all kinds on how they've built authority in their field and how you can mimic their success. Developing authority, building your audience, and attracting better clients to your own business. Now, without further ado, let's bring to the virtual stage your host, Brian S. Arnold.
And we are live. We are live now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And I am here now with my new good friend, Chico Alu. I hope I got that right. And we are excited to have her here today because we're going to be talking about how to optimize, not manage, but optimize your personal and business finances. And I'm excited because I know this is a topic that I think we all need, to be honest. If we're truly honest with ourselves, we all have gotten to the point where we've let some things go with our finances, personal and business. So I'm excited to have her here. Please tell us, first of all, hello, how you doing?
I am good, Brian. I'm good. How are you?
Great.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Look forward to this discussion.
Awesome. So let us start, first of all, with who you are personally and then professionally.
It's a great question, being able to separate the two. So like you said, my name is Chiga, and I think a huge portion of my life is dominated by being mom. You know, I've got a little boy who is 7, so it's not so little. But I am originally from Nigeria. I moved to the UK at 14, not at 14, at 18. At 14, it's a little bit early there. And so I've been here for over a decade now, and my background, funny enough, is in the sciences, but the reason I'm going to talk to you about this today is growing up where I grew up, there was a lot of need. There was a lot of poverty. There was a lot of, in my neighborhood, people who lived in structures. And so from quite an early age, it was clear that money was going to be this great divide. Where you had, like I guess in most places, people doing well and people really sort of scraping to put it together. My own family, we were, there were some tough times. And so when I first went into business, my first go at it was at 16, where I had to bring something in. And so that sort of got it started, but it was more from a perspective of this is something that's hard, and we're just trying to claw everything we can and really hold on to it tight. And then in my later teens, early 20s, I had an exposure to a different community of people who, I guess what you would call like an abundance mindset, where they knew how to make it. And how to keep it. And so that sort of flipped it around for me, and I soaked it in as much as I could, going into the whole personal development side of things. And so the real game changer, I guess, like a real highlight where I knew that I knew how to do this was, I think it was in 2014, probably the hardest time in my adult life, where I had a 2-year span of not being able to work, and I had to make do with whatever I had. My son was 1. I'm in a foreign country, and so it was a real tough time. I'm trying not to shed any tears as I talk about it, but it was a really hard time, and I had to pull on everything I'd learned, everything I knew to sort of get through that time, and we did. And so when I think back to how I did that, this is something that I know how to do, and I can help people do this. And so trying to put it together, and this is why I'm here, trying to help out. And I'm going to share later about the big why, but I'm going to leave it there for now. So this is how you have me here.
Okay. So Let me just, so what is, let me tell you, ask first of all, what is your current project that you're working on now? Is there a main project that you're working on at the current moment?
So, from a business point of view, I currently work with women. I take them from being, frazzled about finances, that person who, like, frankly, a lot of people are, where money wasn't really talked about in their homes. They never had a
Mhm.
chance to actually figure out how to work with it, how to plan for it.
Yeah.
Because a budget is simply a plan. It's you making a plan for your money, and just not had a chance to do that, or have found themselves getting into debt more and more and just sort of not knowing how to come out of that. So sort of take them through the foundations, because I think that's key. You have to have the foundations right. How do you put a plan for it, and how do you stick to that plan, and how do you make it fun as well? Because I'm
Yeah.
a huge part of making sure you can stick to it in the long term. And so that's what the focus is. And I want to have, I'm putting it out there, 1,000 testimonials of women that have
All right.
helped go from wherever they started from feeling like, yes, I actually feel confident going forward, that I am not going to find myself hard up again.
All right, ladies, you heard that. I heard you heard it here first. Awesome, awesome. So I want to. I guess you've already answered my other question about what led you down this path of helping people manage money. So we'll get past that.
Mhm.
Let's start with the first question then. What is the biggest mistake you see with people not managing their money? What do you see as the very first thing that you say, you know, you can tell
Yeah.
right away? Yeah.
So I would say money is something that a lot of people think about, but a lot of the times it stops in that sort of thinking phase and not really taking action, putting, excuse the pun, your money where your mouth is.
Hmm.
But even if that's not necessarily what you have to do at that point, so it's just starting in a meaningful way, not just saying what you would like, how you'd like it to be and wishing, but actually become a doing person and
Hmm.
actually take action. Because with the action and the consistency, it gets easier. And I wish people could know that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So let's go through some how-to stuff right now.
Hmm.
How do we keep track? What is the simplest way you can show us right now, how to keep track of our money in
Mm.
business, in personal and business?
Yeah. So I would even sort of go back a few steps
Okay.
before we get into that. Is when I work with people, I want them to get clear on why they actually want it.
Okay.
Because in those early days, it's going to be a new skill. It's going
Mm,
to require you to use different muscles, that you haven't used before financially. And
yeah.
so being clear on why is it you want this. And I would say if it can be something bigger than you, the better.
Yeah.
But if you have to start with yourself, that's fine. Why is it you want this? What is the goal? And if the thought of paying off debt doesn't inspire you, think of the things that you would do if money was no object, if you weren't restrained by it. And maybe if that's what's going to drive you, whether that's places you want to travel to, causes you want to contribute to, impact that you want to make. So
Yeah.
having that clear in front of you, so that when you go into the how to, you see it as something that is there to help you rather than something that's there to hinder you. It's a tool that you're using to help you get to where you want to go to.
Okay.
And so starting with that, once we're clear on that,
Yeah.
getting into the how, I have people work to play to their strengths, to play to their personality. So it's not a one size fits all method in terms of
Okay.
what's going to work, but it's got to be simple. Whatever
Okay.
it is, it's got
Yes.
to be simple. We
Right.
don't want to complicate it, which is another thing that some people can do. They have a lot of categories. We're trying to get into the minutiae of everything. And if that's not the type of person you are, you're going to wear yourself out
Right.
within 2 weeks.
Right.
And so it's the keeping it simple. So are you a spreadsheet person? Are you a pen to paper person? Do you like to use apps like I do? What
Mm,
is the method that feels like it's going to be more suited to your personality type, that's going to make you stick to it? So we're
okay.
going to have that. So starting out, if you've never done anything like this before, the first bit of what you're going to be doing is just gathering information on what's happening right now. Where's your money going right now? What are you doing with it? Look back the last 3 months, the last 6 months. What are you spending on? And just
Mm.
gathering that information, see how it makes you feel. For some people, that is the fuel to kind of, all right, I'm not having this anymore.
Right, right,
And
right.
then sort of go from there. And in
So,
terms
so
of
you're saying
planning it,
you're saying that the last 6 months we should go back, correct? On our spending? Okay.
ideally, yeah,
Okay.
if you can, just to get an idea, because there are some payments that don't come out every month. You want to have as big a picture as
Right.
possible.
Okay.
And so in terms of prioritizing it and planning where your money is going to go, like I said, it's a plan. It's you being the boss. It's you telling it, right, you are going here, you are doing this. And so I like the analogy of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where you're working your way up from the things that are must-haves, the things
Right.
that you if you don't have them sorted, you're in trouble, and sort of
Right.
starting with that. So whether that's for your personal life, so those things that we kind of need to have, we kind of need somewhere to live, we need to eat, if we have
Right.
kids, we need to, take care of them. So things like that, having those covered. Because Brian, you'll be amazed the amount of times those essential things kind of get left to, maybe it will fit in, and the stress that brings is just not healthy.
Yeah.
And so thinking,
Yes.
if you are losing sleep at night because you don't know if you're going to make that,
Right.
we need to revamp the whole thing. So starting with those things and the peace of mind that already comes from that, because a lot of the times we don't need as much as we think we do,
Right.
only if it's planned correctly. So for your business, if it's a baby business, depending on where you're at, I say, if it's just starting out, I don't like to put too much pressure on it. If you're trying to grow a business, you don't want to try and make it do too much.
Right.
Usually people that are starting out, they do need to do a lot of reinvesting, either it's in themselves and their skills, or if it's a brick and mortars business, sort of equipment for that. Those things that if you don't have them, you don't have a business, so you're not going to grow.
Right.
Prioritizing those, and then work your way up to the things that are nice to haves, and
Yeah.
that you
Exactly.
could do without, which it sounds common sense, right? It
Right.
sounds
Right.
simple, but it's the taking action and putting that plan in place. And then it's no point just doing it and then not looking at it for a whole month. If it's something that you love to do, that if it's a method that you've chosen that works with your personality, you're more likely to take a check halfway through the month, every once a week, just to see how you're going and adapt as needed. You got to be flexible too.
So I hear something through there, and I wanted to ask you about this because
Mm,
a lot of times we spend on emotion, right? Sometimes we
mm.
spend on want. We're in this crazy time where
Oh, tell me
we're
about it.
tired we're tired of eating in. We're tired of staying at home. We want to get out and do the things that we used to do. Um,
Mm,
how do we tackle our emotions that are connected with our spending? Because we know that they are connected in some way. How do we
mm.
how do we tackle our feelings about this and still be able to handle everything with our money
Yeah.
when it happens?
Yeah, so that is a complicated one, and I think we have to come at it from different angles. So, first of all, we're going to go back to the why,
Yeah.
and the why that's going to be something big, something
Okay.
strong, something that matters to you. So that I tell people, when you are saying yes to the things that are not planned, impulsive, realize you're saying no to the things that you've said matter to you. Have we lost Brian?
Nope,
You
you're still
still
here.
on?
You're still
Okay,
here.
okay, okay.
I was trying to give you a promo. I was trying to I was just giving it all.
Okay. All right. So I'll be here by myself.
Go
Okay.
right
So
ahead. Go right
yes,
ahead.
yeah. So when you're saying yes to those things that are unplanned, you are saying no to the things that really matter to you. Is that
Yeah.
what you want to say? And just framing it like that, so that it's not a case of you depriving yourself. Now, if there are genuine emotional issues that need to be resolved, that is a separate thing, because a lot of the times, if we're trying to fill some type of void, that is something to get help for separately. The other thing as well, it depends on what you're spending on. So how I talked about fun. If you know that there's something that you like to do that brings you joy, like for me,
Mhm.
that's massages. I can't wait to go back.
Okay. Okay.
I don't need it, but it just makes life better, right? And
Right.
so
Right.
I plan for that. I
Okay.
factor that in. And
Okay.
so when I spend on that, there's no guilt, it's planned. And actually, that's one of the things having a plan can do for you, because you might just find the money in there to do those things that are emotionally filling. That's going to just a sense of wellness. So at least that's what I get when I have
Yeah.
my massage sessions
Yeah.
anyway. So yeah, it can be planned for. It's and like I said, if there's things to resolve separately, that's something that can be worked on, perhaps with someone that is a specialty on that. But I think if you are clear on why, and you have that to your face as closely as possible, and already have room in your budget to account for those times where you feel like you don't want to have it written down where that's going to go, that's money for your well-being, then you can by all means spend that happily with no guilt and give yourself a pat on the back for it.
I love it. So I'm glad you said that because I want to angle us over to business because I see a
Mm,
lot of people who might be listening to this as well, where they're in this pattern or of trying to deal with starting their business, trying to deal with keeping their business running and sustaining it.
mm,
Um, some people don't start because they feel like they need this, and that before they do that. So they either they don't start or they do things that are not plain, like you said.
mm.
So can you explain why? And like big businesses do this, and big organizations do this all the time, where they plan this amount of money for this, that, and other. Can you explain just more? Give us a deeper dive on why it's important to just get into to the habit of just planning. Because right now, like
Mm.
I just plan right now just for so much money just for advertising.
Yeah.
It's just something that you just like the business essentials. What would you say? I know it's a long kind of answer, kind of question, but
Yeah.
what are the business essentials you think so they can still be comfortable with starting and sustaining their business as they
Yeah.
start along that journey?
Yeah, that is a great question. As you were saying that, what was coming up for me was your business is a baby. You gotta nurture it, you gotta treat it as a baby, especially if it's in those early stages. I said earlier, don't put too much pressure on it. Don't ask for it to run before it's learned to walk. And
Right,
so, just going back to if you are just starting out, chances are you probably have it as a side gig and you still have a main job that you have. I don't encourage people to rush off and leave the day jobs, before they have something, because the amount of stress that
yeah,
brings on you, that's even going to impact your performance. So
okay,
right off the bat, that is one way to give the business a chance and the room to grow, and give yourself the time as well to grow into that. If you need to go part-time, by all means do that. A
yeah,
lot of it also comes back as well to the mindset and what you think about the idea of planning, and seeing it as something that's going to help you in the long run. So things to kind of factor in. We've talked about the investment into the things that are absolutely needed to have the business work, to
right,
actually have one. And
right,
so for maybe people like us who have things that are mostly digital. If you are coming from a background that's completely different to what you're doing, there might be some actual specific business related training to get, some sort of investing in yourself, whether that be the marketing side of things or how to promote yourself at the start. That might be something that's important, but you don't want to overstretch yourself with that as well. But you build up to it and make sure it all fits within what's achievable for you without going into lots
Yeah.
of debt.
Right.
That's
Right.
good to factor in as well.
Right.
The other thing that I would say is it might help to have separate bank accounts as well for
Okay.
business versus personal, as you again getting into that stage of building it up and seeing what it can do. That a lot of the times there can be irregularity
Yeah.
with the income that comes from a business. And so if you get into that point where you're trying to live off it, you can create that sort of stability for yourself if you have an account where you can pay yourself a wage from. And
Yeah.
so that can take some of the edge off as well. You're not dealing with the roller coaster. But before we get to that point, you would have needed to be clear on your personal finances and what you need and sort of
Right.
plan for that. And so you have your business doing that. Another thing to sort of think about if you're relatively new, don't forget the tax man. It catches people out,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're hit
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're hit with this bill that you
Right.
haven't thought about. So I don't know what it is there, but here around 20-25% is a good amount to sort of account for in terms of profit that might go towards that. So just
Okay.
right off the bat as you start earning, so setting that aside so that when it's time to pay, you're not fussed, you plan for it,
I
it's
love it.
coming, you get
Okay.
it done, and it's fantastic.
I like that. Okay. Great. Great. So this is great stuff so far. Unbelievable stuff so far. So I'm going to take it a different way right now. So just for you, your niche
Mm,
is helping
mm,
women mainly.
correct.
But I still want you on the show.
Sorry,
But so
Brian.
it's
At
okay.
some
It's all
point, we
right.
might expand.
Okay, it's okay. So my question is why is that? Why do you gravitate to women as opposed, it's a good niche, obviously. It's a great niche. But why do you like gravitate to helping the women in their pursuit of managing
Yeah.
money?
Yeah, I mean, of course, the obvious reason is that I'm one, and I feel like there's some affinity there in terms of understanding where they're coming from.
Right.
But in general, if we look back the last 100-200 years, the ability of women to actually manage your money,
Mm,
to have their money and be exposed to sort of doing that. I mean, around this part of the world, it was only sort of around when the World War started that women actually have to go out to work and sort of earn money.
yeah.
But even then, there's still an imbalance, and so there can be a sort of disadvantage in terms of feeling like I can own it. This is mine. I can manage it, and dare I say it, be financially independent.
Right.
Not just live hand to mouth, but actually get to a point where we are growing wealth, which is where we work up to once we have these sort of foundations. But it's the
Right.
same skills, and so I want to hone into that group and be part of hopefully what starts to correct that imbalance, which has just been that
Yeah.
way, just
Yeah.
the way things are. Yeah.
I love that. I love it. So I got a couple more questions
Mm,
before we get out of here. What is the best way to handle this crisis that we're in this pandemic season that we're currently living in? We have many people who have been laid off. You
mm-hmm.
know, they don't have a job. Probably something that you're familiar with, I guess. Hasn't they've had jobs for a while, had great jobs, and they're trying to figure everything out. They're trying to figure out, how much can I stretch my credit cards at this point?
Yeah.
How much is too much?
Mm.
Have you dealt with people right now who are in this situation? And if so, what have you told them about how to deal with this going on to a new year?
Yes. Yeah, it is a pretty crazy time, right? And for some people, it has been just completely life changing. Source of income's gone, and whatever support is available from the government, it's not quite the same. It's a huge change. However, I do think that if you're someone who money management and an
Mhm.
interest in that hasn't been something that's been forefront of your mind at all, this could be, dare I say, there can be something good that could come out of this,
Yeah.
because this might just be the time that you need to actually take ownership of that part of your life as well. I am not ashamed to say, if need be, to bring your life small enough to get through this time.
Okay.
It's temporary.
Yeah.
And so we have to be, a skill that's going to be really key now is being able to tell the difference about the difference between what's needed versus things that we just got into the habit of spending on,
Yeah.
and actually putting things under the microscope and going, right, does this actually serve me? Is this something that actually contributes to my life, or is this something that I'm doing because everyone's doing it, or it's just how we've always done it? But actually reassess things. I think reviews are great. I think reviews are good to see where you're at. And so people have been having to do that
Mm.
and look at where their money's going. How can I best be using it? And if it's inevitable to get into debt right now, it's not great. But seeing that for what it is, and already having a plan in place on how to manage that. In my private group, we're doing a debt-free journey where I have a bunch of women who have a goal together to get debt-free, and laying the framework in place to sort of do
Yeah.
that. So as you're getting into it, have the plan in mind and not be comfortable with
Mm.
it, especially if it's something that for some people it makes them uneasy. So you don't have to be comfortable, you don't have to accept it. It's a temporary thing. Do all you can, get really good at knowing what's important, what is for you. It's going to take
Mm.
a lot of sitting down and really thinking about it, because
Yeah.
these are unusual times.
Yeah.
And we have to do things probably we haven't done before in how we assess ourselves. And you can't do what everybody's doing and expect to get something different. So you got to be willing to stand out, do something different, and decide how you want to come out of this with either new skills, new levels of
Yeah.
processing things.
Yeah.
And it can be a good thing.
Yeah.
Once you can get through this bit, which I know it's not easy. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely not. Definitely not.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. I know it's a tough time. I know
It
WPC
is.
came through with some stats here about the fatalities on here.
Wow, it
Yeah.
keeps going up. That,
Yeah.
wow. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah.
It's
So
just, yeah.
it's a tough time, and I mean, this it has to be part of these shows right now because it's just
Mm,
it's a thing. It's a thing
mm,
that we can't ignore. So last question, last question that I ask all of my guests. They see you, Chigo. They see you right now. They like what
mm.
you're saying. They
Okay.
they they, they feel your energy, right?
Mm, okay.
Um, they want to be this financial guru like you are right now. They want to be able to do these things and maybe help others in this space. Can
Mm.
you tell them just a few steps right now of just how they can build up themselves or build up a platform for themselves to be an authority in this space?
Mm. So, like in the online space or specific to finance?
Specific finances, yeah. Just
Okay.
yeah, for what you do specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a lot of information out there. And what makes a lot of the difference is the spaces that you put yourself in, the information that you have come in. And in most cases, it's probably not going to be the people that you already have around you, which is fine. People have different priorities.
Yeah.
So it might take some active seeking out spaces of like-minded people who are on the same path, who have the same goal, to keep you focused, because that's where the staying consistent comes in. That's where the continued learning comes in, because I'm still learning, I'm still reading, I'm still hearing different ways to do it. And
Right.
I have to put myself in the spaces where that can continue. And so the environment, and it doesn't have to be face to face, like we all know, no one's having that much face to face time, but
Mm.
there's online spaces, there's resources to keep you in that cycle where you can be focused on, right, this is what my goal is. If you haven't done it, I would say spend some time either in the next few days thinking about why,
Mm.
because that's what makes the difference between just thinking about it and actually taking action. Just nudges you further that way, and then get yourself in the spaces that's going to help you do that. Talking about why, can I just share?
Yeah.
So for me, when it gets hard, because being in business, there's great bits, there's the beautiful moments where you're working with someone and you see the light go out, in that, like when their eyes light up and
Yeah.
there's a weight comes off their shoulder when they realize actually it's not as bad as they thought, and maybe they might just be able to make it work, and that's fantastic. Sometimes it gets hard, and so my why is thinking about why I'm doing all this. Helping women, fantastic, it's a means to an end. So for me, education was my savior
Mm.
in so many ways. And so when I think of children who were in the position that I was and where that got me out of, I want to spend as much money as I want paying for them to get an education.
Okay.
And that is when it doesn't feel great, when it's hard.
Yeah.
I think about that.
Yeah.
And you go, if I don't do this, there is only so much you can make working for someone else. And it's not going to be enough to give as much as I want to give. And when I think about that, I pick myself up and get on with it and keep at
Yeah.
it. And so that's sort of why, that sort of impact, that sort of legacy, whether that be you creating your own spending plan so you can give your children, your family, the kind of life that you want to give them, or something outside yourself, that close to your face, you will push through it and you'll get it done.
I love it. Awesome stuff. Awesome words there for people who want to be an authority in this space. Incredible, Chico. Absolutely incredible stuff today. Really reaching.
And the time's flown by. I don't know where it's gone.
Yeah. So the half an hour go right by, right?
Yeah, it does.
Oh my gosh. So time flies me having a good conversation. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
So incredible stuff here. I just want to get you before you guys get out of here, just tune into theauthorityletter.com, or you can text us at We Are Live to 44222. We are in the very middle of the 8-week digital product giveaway. We're on week 5. We just finished that today. So go to that site, but it won't be. Giveaway was going to be ended today. So wait till tomorrow. So wait till tomorrow when it gets a new prize for week number 6. And so get on that. It's been a fun ride. People getting some great prizes. So get on that as soon as you can. Again, authorityletter.com, or text us at We Are Live to 44222. And get on that list, because I'm going to be sending some extra content on there as well to show you how to build your authority letter platform, just like my new friend here, Chico, has done for herself in her story.
Do you know what? Can I shout out to Brian as well? I just feel like he has started this in the middle of this pandemic. How inspiring is that? Because the same thing happens to everyone and people respond to it in different ways. So really, I just want to give you a shout out for that, for using this time to put something like this. And I'm sure it's giving value to a lot of people over the last 3 months. So really well done to you.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. And I will give you the final words if you have any other final words of wisdom that you want to share with us at all before we get out of here.
I'm just going to say start. Just get started. Stop thinking about it. It's not a dirty word. Planning, budgeting, call it whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Just that. It's you being the boss of just one more thing in your life. It's you telling your money where to go. That's all it is, rather than everybody else pulling it everywhere, because it will go somewhere if you
Yep.
don't tell it where to go.
Very
So
true.
how about you tell it where to go and be the boss of it? So just start.
I love it. Awesome stuff. Incredible. Thank you so much, Chico, for coming through here.
Thanks for having me.
Like I always say before, with your authority project, you are the project. We want to add authority to your name so you can sell more of what you're great at. If you build it and share it, they will come. And that's the wrap for this authority project. We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap for this episode of The Authority Project. Thanks so much for tuning in. And if you like what you heard, we want to hear from you. Subscribe, rate, and give an honest review. Share and tell your friends so they can hear too. And for even more authority building tactics, be sure to sign up at theauthorityletter.com. Get free weekly content and ongoing digital product giveaways to help you on your entrepreneurial journey. We certainly hope you got a key takeaway, or maybe an aha moment from today's broadcast. Just remember, it's your authority. Build it, share it, and they will come. Until next time.